Hey guys, it's Athena. I haven't made a video in quite a while about witchlings, little witchy babies, or how to parent your child when you are still kind of in the closet. If you're not an all-out, yeah, we're witches kind of parent, because I'm not. As I've said 100 times in these previous videos, Poochie spends a lot of his time with his grandma on his dad's side, and she is really, really, really Christian, but in the best way, in the way that I feel like it's supposed to be. Doesn't criticize, judge, yada yada, with her beliefs. At the same time, I think she would be quite alarmed and terrified to be confronted with the reality of Poochie's mama and my beliefs. I don't hide things, but I don't leave everything out in her face. When I work with Poochie and share beliefs, I do it in a real, open kind of way. In the way I kind of try to treat everything. I approach it like there's not one truth, there's not one right and everyone else is wrong, that there are lots of types of people and they all have their beliefs and all of their beliefs are valid. All that said, I wanted to share with you some fun little ways that I sprinkle Poochie's life with some pagan-y, witchy, earth-loving beliefs. Many of these things I have mentioned in previous videos, but if you are new to my channel or have not watched every single video I've ever put out, this will be a nice little combination of those things plus some new ones. Television shows I'd like to recommend. If you have Amazon Prime, I highly recommend Just Add Magic. It's an adorable show. Even though it features 3 girls, Poochie was totally open with it. He was cool. He enjoyed it. We watched the entire series twice. It has kind of a book of spells, but in the case of that show, it's a magical cookbook. It's well done. I will say the very first episode I thought was a little on the cheesy side. I had a hard time getting through the first episode, but by the end of it, it's good enough to be hooked, especially if you're watching it with your child. Poochie is 9. We watched that when he was 8, probably, maybe 7 and 8. That might help you with the age group I'm talking about right now. I will say on Netflix, there's a number of really fun shows that are witchy in nature. There's one out right now that is really for littler kids, and it's kind of a preschool. The characters are preschool age, but I'm surprised that Poochie actually wants to watch it on his own. I'm really surprised, because he's also Mr. I'm cool, I'm tough, and yet he likes this little kind of preschool show. And it's called Super Monsters. It's adorable. There's a vampire, a werewolf, a zombie, a witch, Frankenstein, and the little shenanigans and adventures they get into. The last time I checked Netflix, these shows were also still available. The Worst Witch, I know there's many incarnations of that, but the most recent ones that have come out in the past couple years, adorable. We binged through, I think there's 2 seasons, 2 to 3. We binged through those super fast. Another one that is extremely similar to The Worst Witch, in my opinion, is The Little Witch Academy. It's more of an anime type. And again, one of the main characters is sort of the clumsy little new witch who barely has any powers and struggles. Same as like The Worst Witch. And the little mean girl antagonist is similar in both. There's definitely themes going here. And then there's 2 movies. One is super short. You've heard of it, I'm sure. It's so cute. Room on the Broom. It's just delightful to watch. Super short. And then Song of the Sea. I have mentioned that recently. We've only watched it 1 or 2 times. I guess once. And it's about Selkies, like the Celtic myth about the women. I know there were men also, but the women who were seals and they could take off their seal skin, and there's a whole myth about it. It's even in the Women Who Run with Wolves book, if you have read that, by Pincola Estes. I'm not great with remembering names on the fly. So that's just a few. There are a lot more, but those are the quick ones that came to mind when I was making my list. As far as books for kids, I recommend fairy tales. I got that from Corey Hutchinson on New World Witchery, and he said one of the best things you can do for your children is to read them fairy tales. Not the Disneyized version, but kind of how they were intended. Now, obviously, you do your parental discretion. I started reading some mythology to Poochie, and I stopped because he didn't seem to mind, but I didn't like reading the myths, because if you really look at myths, at least in my opinion, there's just so much crappy meanness in them. Gods and goddesses just being all kinds of petty and mean, and I just decided this is not what I want to read to my child right before he goes to sleep at night, you know. The Land of Stories, I believe there's 5 or 6 books now by Chris, is it Colfer or Colfer? I know he is a character in Glee. He is a great writer. I was so impressed. And they're on Audible. He does the reading, and he is amazing with voices. His female voices are just as realistic and impressive as his male voices. The Land of Stories does sort of what Once Upon a Time, the TV show, does, which I'm not a fan of Once Upon a Time. I might have watched the whole first season. I'm not disparaging it. It just didn't do it for me. Sometimes I can't suspend my disbelief. I can't get past the actors where I buy the characters. That's a tangent. All I was saying is one thing I like about Once Upon a Time is the same thing that happens in The Land of Stories, where the author takes these well-known fairy tale characters and creates all these stories around it. I do like that. I do love some of the backstory things, like in Wicked, and finding out why Elphaba was like she was, and seeing Glinda for the kind of shallow that she was. I loved Maleficent. I know not everybody likes Angelina Jolie, and that's okay. I don't have an opinion about her personally, but the character of Maleficent I adored, because I felt like, ooh, she kind of represents that inner side of me, that Lorax in me that wants to speak for the trees or fight the humans to protect the land. So back to the topic at hand. It's already been 10 minutes. You see why I'm probably not going to finish. Obviously, the Harry Potter stuff is witchy, but not really including that as much as some of the companion books that go along. Like, I know one is I've forgotten the name, Tales of Beetle. It's in the Deathly Hallows movie and books, but they're a little bit like cautionary tales and fables. I bought that, and I've read those to him. Also, this was a really cool book that I found at our school book fair, the little Scholastic Book Fair. If you guys, when you were little, at least if you were in the United States, you probably had that at your school. It's still a thing. It's even bigger and better now than it was back when we were kids. But I think this is so cool. A journey through a history of magic. So it's actually got factual stuff in it. Let's see. Potions and alchemy, herbology, charms, yada yada. So let's just go to potions and alchemy, shall we? And yes, they talk about the movie, but then they also say things like, people have been making potions for thousands upon thousands of years. The word potion is taken from the Latin potio, which means drink. Potions can be used for a multitude of reasons, but they're often used as medicine, poison, or drug. Although not all are successful, this has not stopped people from attempting to create them. That's a fact. There is a picture from 1491. Over here, this book shows an image of a potions master and his students. And then there's a word I'm not going to try to say, but it is Latin for the Garden of Health. It's the first printed encyclopedia of natural history, featuring plants, animals, birds, fish, stones. In this image, the potion master is clutching a stick in his left hand, while his assistant is holding open a book of recipes. It's questionable how much attention some of the pupils are paying to their teacher. Anyway, isn't that cool? It does definitely talk about the movie, but then it incorporates real stuff from history, and that I love. I also, just from a teacher-student perspective, love these drafts, these handwritten drafts from J.K. Rowling, where she wrote and scribbled and edited, because I'm always telling my students about that stuff. They want to just scribble one thing and turn it in and call it done, and I'm like, no. Another fun kind of companion is the wand collection. I don't know how many are in here, but in the index in the back, here's a little picture. And how cute is it that Hagrid's is an umbrella? Pretty cool. It's more behind the scenes of the movie, but I still think if you are trying to, I don't know, excite your child with all the different magical things, you very quickly can look through those and see how you could make your own if you wanted to. My kid is more into the idea of having a staff. He always likes to find giant pieces of wood and walks around carrying it. And we haven't yet done this, but it's been in the back of my mind one day, if he finds one that's not rotted out so bad, to maybe shape it, carve it. We have a wood burning tool that I have yet to ever use. I bought it on sale at Michael's or Target sometime. I would love to have him carve in symbols and designs and fun stuff like that. For parents, 2 books I would recommend if you are hoping to bring more magic into your child's life. This one I found, I think both of these I found at used bookstores and just stumbled upon them, and oh my gosh, what a treasure. This one especially, celebrating the Great Mother. I can't see the author's name. I hope you can. If I remember, I'll put a link below. This one has all of the pagan Wheel of the Year holidays, but nowhere on it does it say Wiccan, pagan, witchy. It's just earthy. And in a way, I feel like I kind of identify with that, at least my public, what I go public with. I'm very open about my earthy love. It breaks it up into the different times of the year, and it has activities you can do, crafts you can make, foods, etc. I've had it for many years. It's one of my go-tos. The other one, I'm not as crafty as some. If you love to make crafts, this will be your jam. It's cute. It's just, I think I'm too much of a perfectionist with a lack of fine motor dexterity. Therefore, most of when I try these things, they look like shit. Try those if you like them. 2 other types of books. Now, I have a zillion pagan-y books. Say what you will about Scott Cunningham, but when it comes to a really friendly, open, good and peaceful way of thinking and teaching and living, I think Cunningham is like kinder, gentler type of introduction to earth magic. And this is, look at how old this book is. Another one I got at a used bookstore. I'm sure by now there's been about 100 new editions with new pictures, but Earth Power, I believe, was his first, and then this of this type, and this was a follow-up one. I love the whole idea of nature and natural magic and stuff where if you're out with your child and you are near a stream, you can do what we did yesterday. This is a perfect example. I'll throw in brief video footage I'll insert also, but I read somewhere, and so I've passed this on to my children, or at least to Poochie, and to my students, that if you can catch a falling leaf before it hits the ground, you can make a wish on it. And I have pictures of him where he caught a leaf yesterday and he's putting his hand over it and his eyes are closed and he's putting his prayer or his wish into it. And then he's like, now what do I do with it? And we just happen to be close to a stream. And so I said, let's go throw it into the stream and the stream will take it away. And he said, will it come true? And I said, it might. If it's something that would be good and would benefit you, then yeah, it might. I don't want to teach him that all your wishes, no matter what they are, will come true or won't come true or whatever. If it's for the good of you and the world and others, then it might just come true. So here's the footage of that.
Hey guys, today I will be throwing a leaf into the water. I made a wish I'm not allowed to tell you or say it out loud. So I made my wish in my head. It only works when you catch a leaf, like it falls off a tree and you catch it. It only works like that. And I caught this, I made a wish, and I hope it comes true. Alright, you said my wish again, just in case. What?
You'll go.
There's my leaf.
There it goes. It's just an example of some of the things I really enjoy doing. When it comes to nature, things I point out and talk to him about are mushrooms. They grow in this one area. As you know, mushrooms grow like overnight, just huge, which seems kind of magical. And then if we see a circle, I talk about a fairy ring and what people used to believe. We talk about the toxicity of mushrooms. I don't want him getting crazy. But sometimes, when we see them, we stop and we really just look at them. We don't really touch them, but we look closely at them. We look at how they're different, how they're formed. I did find a patch nearby of the red ones with the white spots that you see in all fairy tales. And I had always heard they were super duper toxic. I've also heard other places that they are very hallucinogenic if you're cool with vomiting and stuff. I don't know. I'm not going to take chances with my health with that. But I know where they are if I wanted some. Or if I wanted to gather them and, I don't know, put them in a spell. Like almost like a goofer dust or something. Something to think about. Probably won't do it. Other things I do with him or I talk to him about is paying attention to animals and insects near us. He really hates bugs and insects. Like he is not enamored by any of them. He's tolerant of butterflies from a distance because he always says grandmama every time he sees a butterfly, which is so sweet. For the longest time, I haven't noticed it lately, but for the first year and a half after my mother passed away, I felt like I was followed around by cardinals. No matter where I went, I would hear cardinals. I'd hear them when I got in the car. I'd hear them when I got out of a car or somewhere else. Their song is so distinct. So that was one of my signs for my mom. So he knows the cardinal song. He knows that animals often have a message. He learned some of that from these children's spirit animal cards, which I, again, have shared with you in the past. He loves to pull one of these. We don't do it as regularly as we used to, but every time I bring up cards, he's like, I want to pull an animal card. And he does the thing where he warms up his chakras. He does this until they're kind of warm and tingly, and then he holds his hands over it, and sometimes he closes his eyes, and he feels for a warmth or a signal that it's time to pick that card. And as I mentioned in my other video about this, 9 times out of 10, he pulls the monkey, which is really adorable. I have to look it up again to remember what the monkey stands for. But while I'm looking for that, one funny thing is I have seen him in public places going around when he's trying to choose something, and he does that. And he'll do it in front of people. He didn't care. And no one says anything. They kind of laugh. Yeah, here's the monkey. Try something new. So I think that's a good one for most kids, especially a kid who might be a little fearful or hesitant, cautious to do things. I got these through Amazon. I highly, highly recommend them. They don't come with very many cards. There's only 24 cards in the deck, but they're fun to use. A couple other things that we have done together is he knows when it's storming, especially. I run outside and I put bowls out and I gather rainwater, especially during a storm. And I don't know if I ever have used the words like elemental water, but he's never questioned, why am I doing that? He knows I'm a freak when it comes to storms. I open windows. I used to sit outside all the time. I would sit in the garage with my feet sticking out, and he would sit with me sometimes and just enjoy the storm. He gets excited when he hears thunder, which is nice because at his age, I was totally scared of thunderstorms. I am very happy that he is developing a respect for nature. He's not as woo as his mama, but he's learning, and he's more respectful than a lot of kids his age. I really always stop kids from ripping leaves and sticks off of live trees or bushes. I never allow them to squish a bug. Even bugs that we may not like, we don't squish them. Again, my exception usually is mosquitoes, because yeah, mosquitoes. Sorry, mosquitoes. We rescue bugs and release them at school. Everyone knows not to step on a bug. They always come and get me because I will rescue it and set it outside. I think it's just teaching kids to respect all life, except for mosquitoes. I mean, I don't go out of my way to go kill mosquitoes. It's just if they're on me, sorry. You have to declare war at that point. We have a tree in the backyard that actually grows up through the deck, the sacred space. Poochie and I have named it Grandfather Oak, and we have hugged it, and this was, I think, Poochie's idea, to put crystals down by its roots as just a little offering and a little show of love. I think we did it before a storm once. I can't remember. It's been a couple years. We have one in the front. It's a little sickly, so I'm sad, but it is a maple that I have not very creatively dubbed Mabel. She is in our front yard. We have several things in our front yard, but she's my favorite. At her base is where we have our little gnome garden that needs to be upkept. I haven't cleaned that area up in a long time. I should do it one of these awesome, pretty fall days. And we seasonally change out some of the little fixtures and decorations there. There is another video. I'll link it below. It's actually gotten a lot of views. It's one of the top 4 or 5 of my videos as far as what people have watched, and it's the corn dolly one. Every Mabon, that's how I pronounce it, every Mabon in the past we have made little corn dollies, and then we will burn it the following Mabon and make a new one. We did not get around to burning it this time. We were in Disney, and when we got back, school started immediately, and I have not made time to do that. So I still have one that I made from last year. This is mine from last August. That is still sitting here. I need to probably take care of that very soon. Maybe over the Thanksgiving holiday. I'm not sure. I feel like anytime it's a fall harvest is an okay time to do it. As long as we do it before Yule, I'll be happy. Poochie's has been hanging in his room all this whole time. When we make ours, as you may see if you watch the video, we soak the corn husk pieces in water to soften them up, and I always add a couple essential oils and different things to the water so that it's not just softening, it's sort of going to absorb that energy. We write little tiny petitions and roll it up and put it inside, kind of our wishes for the year. We usually tie hair around our petition as a little identifier. I don't put rocks or anything in it since I'm going to be burning it. It's been a pretty awesome, successful, kind of ongoing spell the past couple of years. So we definitely 100% need to do another one as soon as we can. And then last thing, I have yet to do this. I was really excited about it when I first bought it, and then I haven't done it yet. I want him to have his own little spell book. Now, I found this for super cheap. I think it came in a pack of 3, and there was a gray and some other color. These are just photo albums. These aren't anything fancy. I think I probably got Michael's or Target. This is my 2 places. On the inside, it has the paper that you can do whatever to, draw, write on. I kind of like that it has the protective plastic on here, even though I don't use that in my grimoire. I like it for Poochie if we finally do this, because I think when he finds things like leaves or certain sticks or, I don't know, little things he finds, little treasures, he can put them in here, and then he can draw or write something about why that is magical, like 4-leaf clovers, whatever. I think it would be really neat for him to have his first little spell book. I won't call it a spell book, but I will tell you, after watching Just Add Magic, he was really into the whole idea of a spell book. He saw my old grimoire when it was sitting out, and I was finishing it up, and he was like, "Ooh, what's this?" And I said, "Oh, it's sort of like my own little spell book, kind of like the TV show." And he's like, "Oh, really? Is it?" And he asked questions, which I don't remember now because it's been over a year, but I show him that I have these things, and I answer questions, and then it moves on. It's never long in depth. It's not like, sit down, pupil, and let me teach you. I answer questions, I offer little ideas and things, and then let it go at that. I have never really out and out used the W word with him in a sentence like, I am a witch. I haven't said that with him yet. At the same time, I do jokingly say it sometimes, and I have witch stuff all over this house, decorations. He knows that's my favorite Halloween character. He knows that's my favorite character in any movie or book, even if it's a bad witch. I always say, it's just like all people. We all have the capacity of doing good things and doing bad things. Sometimes we're bad. And when we're bad, it's usually because we're sad or angry or hurt. So, yeah, maybe the witch in this story is evil, but probably someone did something to her. And he has seen Maleficent. He understands that people aren't born evil. Witches aren't born evil. People are born and often shaped by how they're treated and how they react to their lives and to experiences and events that happen. And so he knows that just because someone says witch, that's not a bad word. And the last funny thing I'll leave you with before I sign off is this Halloween that just passed a week ago. I was sitting on my front porch giving out the candy. A couple kids were a little nervous to come walking up, probably because I had the green lipstick, made me look scary. And lots of candles around me and a cauldron with glowing green and smoke coming out of it. It was quite awesome. But at least 2 or 3 different kids were witch right there. And I was like, mm-hmm. My response was, yes, but I'm a nice one. Thank you as always for joining me today and for being awesome. You are very, very appreciated. Have a wonderful week. Be well.